I never exactly wanted to be a gender outlaw. I might have preferred to be singularly gendered. Most of us have heard this story, made so familiar by the men and women on the high summit of the low brow. Maury, Jerry Springer, Ricky, and Tyra. I was a man trapped in a woman's body. And I want to tell you, that's not true for all of us. There might be more going on here than meets the eye. That's the opening to F to M to Octopus, which was a one-person show I wrote to grapple with my many feelings and thoughts about my experience with testosterone. As a newly transitioning trans guy, I knew to expect certain things. I had seen YouTube. I knew there would be hair growth in certain places that before there had not been hair, like my nose and my ass. But what I didn't expect and I didn't see enough about was what was happening between my brain. What was happening here? The between site where my brain was flipping from being an estrogen-informed organ to being a testosteronated one was a place of great curiosity, anxiety, terror, fascination, you name it. And along with that disturbing and wondrous transition came the excruciating pain of finally acknowledging who I was, as opposed to how the world saw me. Still, pain has been a touchstone of my creative work. Pain and change. My spoken word has been shaped by the format of performance. We put our bodies on the front line as artists. This is an intuitive thing for me. It's a drive to perform. I think it has to do in part with claiming this body. I think about this vulnerability as a spoken word artist. It's not just about the words. We're putting ourselves on the line every time we speak to an audience. As LGBTQ people, that has a powerful magic. As a queer transgender man, not a week goes by where someone doesn't try to make my body their property, whether it's by mispronouncing me, by asking me what's in my pants, or by enacting harmful and deadly policies and legislation, like it's the most natural thing in the world. And for many folks, it is the most natural thing in the world because our bodies, our identities, ourselves are seen as different, other, less than. When you're less than another, you can be not quite human. But I have always relished my otherness. I have made it a superpower. It is a source of creative tension and inner resolve. But sometimes I forget the harm that is inflicted on me and my kind. Sometimes in my effort to stand tall and be okay and be a motherfucking artist, I am decidedly not okay. I am, frankly, a little beaten, a little weary, a little toxic from these trespasses on myself. My instinct when I'm suffering is to write. I'm not saying art is suffering, and I'm not saying you have to suffer to make art, or that this is even a good thing. I'm just saying that for me, when I'm feeling some kind of way, I'm often drawn to the computer's keyboard. Writing for me is a form of processing, a way to absorb whatever's going on with or in or at or on me. But it's more than just a coping mechanism, right? Sometimes through sheer queer alchemy, it becomes art. The thing is, only now am I coming to terms with the fact that my body, soul, and self have been under siege since childbirth, that I, as a former female, ex-lesbian, gay, trans, queer person, am like the moon. I am riddled with craters from the impact of meteors. I have a side of me that is always without sunlight, and I am forced, against my will, to orbit a mass that wants to exploit, colonize, co-opt, and discard me without a second thought. So I grapple with this reality, my weathered and pockmarked self, and my generative, effusive, creative force. I'm not interested in being a victim. I'm not playing the suffering sweepstakes. There will always be folks who have suffered more, and anyway, it isn't a cute look. But still, I gotta figure out sometimes what's draining my batteries. When things get interesting, I write. I wrote Trunky after I got out of rehab. My partner had left me, my sobriety was gone. After a decade of incredibly hard work, everything I'd worked so hard, I tanked during a vicious relapse. Writing was one of the things that saved my life. It gave my experience meaning and value, and more simply, it gave me something to focus on that wasn't my unyielding pain. Writing about my 20 days as a stealth trans guy on the men's ward in Butner, North Carolina, going through withdrawal from heroin addiction, wasn't actually reliving a trauma. It was that queer alchemy I'm talking about. Queer alchemy is the thing you get when the story you tell and the reverence for its form transmute into something beyond the mere what happened. Queer alchemy relies on having a strong enough ego to withstand the outrageous and daily assaults on us. And that strong ego relies on our capacity to be connected with other people, other artists, mentors, neighbors, friends, lovers, who explicitly trust us to make something beautiful out of all of this. You know who they are. We cannot exist in a vacuum. Queer alchemy is interdependent, relational. I honor my pain and exhaustion and suffering. It's real, and I honor yours too, because we all have it. That's why I need you, and you might need me, because without that honor and recognition, I can get stuck in a swamp of suffering. It's called despair, y'all. Despair is a weapon the world wields against us. Despair is where the world wants us to live, to disempower us. We know this in our bones, but that doesn't mean we don't fall prey to it. Despair is going to happen. But our job is to call out the injustices, the cruelty of those who would keep us silent. For our work to have any depth, we need to talk about the beauty, the grace, the magic we find in the spaces between words and in one another's eyes. I can't find these gorgeous realms if the world has me straitjacketed by all the bad news, bad people, bad acts. I'm a bit of a loner, so I have to really work at staying connected with my friends and family. We create alone, we write alone, we imagine alone, and we produce alone. In this world, as writers and performers, we have to have nourishment, and nourishment comes from each other. Queering my pain means finding meaning in it. For me to write, I have to be brave enough to let my people know when I'm veering towards despair. I've turned everything meaningful to me personally into new work. I've been bold and impetuous and arrogant in this, but god damn it, with the help of my people, I have made some shit happen. And that, at the end of the day, is all this queering artist can ask for. Thank you.